Hi guys, Bolt here once again. Today I'll be showing off quite an intense match in Wargame Red Dragon. We are playing on another D-Day in Paradise, one of the best maps in this game if you ask me. It has a lot of different types of areas where you can fight, like forested areas, we got some towns, open fields, and hills, and even water. So yeah, definitely a fun one to play. I'm playing as East German, and my job here today is to take over this right side here. So in this deck I have a lot of FJBs, I have a lot of flamethrower units, kind of forgot the name of these. I got a lot of fire support like the 20.57mm AA guns. We got some FLAs, kind of like half-track looking units with two 14mm on top. So it was quite a fun match, and I think you guys will enjoy it. One thing that I don't enjoy though about games like this is the following. People that do this opening artillery, it's just cheesy, it's not fun, and it kind of ruins the gameplay experience because they know you're gonna move over this the moment the arty hits. So it's kind of just it's just not fun. So don't do this, please. Anyways, besides that, we're gonna be playing it from my point of view in just a bit, but we will occasionally switch to neutral just to show you guys what is going on. This does mean, however, that you won't see the final like kill death list, but I think you will have quite a good idea of what's gonna happen. Yeah. It's just not cool. So on the right side we have two Mi-24Ds unloading, I believe, FJBs or LSDRs. These seem like FJBs. This Mi-8 kind of acts as both a recon and a deterrent. I think, you know, making them think that I have infantry in this perhaps. But the enemy is actually on the ground. They did not do an airborne attack, so I could have easily, you know, in hindsight, taken over Hotel with an airborne rush and taken over all these forests before he even got here. But you never know. So on the left, our ally did kind of recuperate. He's moving all of its units across. We still have some units that got wrecked. Quite a lot of units got destroyed here in these BMPs. So that was not really fun. Also, we lost that Tunguska there in the recon BMP. So quite a few losses. And these are one of my favorite units. The FLAs with the 14.5mm. Wonderful fire support. They're so good. And they have two of those guns. So on the left we have Snappin up against America. So Purple Light is putting some Navy SEALs down. We got Light Riflemen, US Marines, and he's also moving some LVTPs and M1A2s to that forest there. Quite interesting loadout. Not an awful lot going on here at the moment. We have French Captain taken upon himself to take over the middle. Doing a pretty good job, I have to say, most of the match. And in the meantime, I am moving my Napalm infantry to the right side to help my FJBs take over the forest. Now the enemy has unloaded all the way back here in a hotel. I'm playing it a little bit safer here because I know what type of decks they had, and I would not be any match to all of these grenade launchers and heavy tanks that America has. And most of them are actually playing as America or like plain NATO. I think one of them was NATO Marine, which is actually a pretty good deck. So I was playing it a little bit safer here. Let's slightly speed things up here. Now we do have a counter artillery coming in. Unfortunately missing the attackums. That didn't quite do too much. At least it made him move. Now this is where it gets interesting. So normally 20 FJBs versus basically 40 Fallschirmjäger, they're gonna win that, no problem. But these Sturm Pioneers, because of the 4 HE, they're kind of insane. They're only 15 points each. They're just wonderful units to use. So other than that, here on the left I have two T-72Ms holding ground with the Mi-8. We have some more of these FLAs, some more T-72s. some Strelas, Mod Shoots, and BMPs to act as kind of a base of defense. Now I am actually fighting against 2 people. I'm not just fighting against 1 guy. So we are against Bloody here, and we're up against this Baron. So it's Bing. Bing guy is taking over basically the entire middle sector, and Purple is taking over the entire left sector. While we have, I believe, 2 people kind of going middle. Yeah, we got all 3 of our guys in these 2 sectors. So I'm taking over the entire right side. So this is where things get interesting. The Fallschirmjäger will move in, encounter my FJB. I immediately move up my Sturm Pioneer. And that just annihilates these guys. Basically just melts infantry. It's kind of insane. Now let's go back into our point of view here. Quite a lot of riflemen are showing up on my screen, so I move in some helicopters to try to help. There's a quad stack Chaparrals there. We managed to take out 2 of them, but the rest took out our helis. Now, since it is Conquest, I get a lot of mortars. And the entire game, I was microing these mortars really well, and the enemy was actually using a lot of attackums to try to get my mortars, which you will see in a bit. But they're really, really essential, especially if you're up against 2 people here. We're up against Baron and this Bloody guy. So I'm just using mortars to try to take out the infantry as much as possible. Go back into neutral mode. You can see that was quite necessary. M1A1s, LVTPs, STRVs, small teams. The enemy put absolutely everything on this side here. Now we do lose quite a bit here in the beginning. But my mortars are keeping them at bay. The only thing I'm trying to do is not let them get into the town for as long as possible. Now the FLA's here giving some crossfire, taking out the small team, which I was actually surprised about. IKVs unfortunately do spot it and take it out, and these are really good tank destroyers with 16 AP, and they're amphibious. So yeah, definitely Sweden, good tech to use in this game. IKVs unfortunately also spot some of my transports and take them out, no problem at all. Now in the meantime, on the right, I have a supply truck coming in. It's quite a big boy here, 2400 liters, to get our Sturm Pioneers and FJBs back on full HP. This guy is basically the only soldier left from that engagement. On the back, we have some just recon and anti-air. Now there I go again with the mortars, because we spotted these STRs trying to flank around. It's not meant to kill them, it's just meant to piss them off. But it is actually doing a pretty good job of doing some damage. Now on the right side, I did not actually spot this Jaeger squad. They somehow got one, well, it's not really that difficult, but they got one dude all the way across that flank. Luckily, I land an LSTR team here and move it across on the right and later spot it. So Panzerweite, I think is how you pronounce it, moving through the forest. The Sturm Pioneers are ready. I'm just keeping these guys still as long as possible to try to get them healed up as much as possible, so that we're at full HP when we engage them. Here we go, Jaeger is spotted, LSTRs are just blown up by that helicopter. But our helicopter luckily does a lot of damage here. And this is where the enemy starts countering my Tunchkas the entire game. Which is a good thing, it kept them busy. Panzers keep them moving in. Sturm Pioneers just annihilating those units. And look at the amount of enemy units here. I maybe have a dozen units left, but the enemy just cannot go through my infantry wall Now on the left side, our ally, I don't know why, but he was pushing Alpha. This is the wrong thing to do on this map, in my opinion. If you don't control these buildings, this is supposed to be your only priority. Taking this area opens up Golf. Like, you can just flood units in here, flank Golf super easily. So always, if you go left side, this is your priority here. He is, however, really making purple work hard to keep that area, so that's nice. Now, a lot of infantry got into that town. I don't really know exactly what they have. I just use my artillery and my tank to keep them busy. Try to take out as much as possible until our infantry arrives. So still we have the Sturm Pioneers here, the FJB. Dragoneers show up and just get deleted. There's more, so I quickly move up this guy. And this is really the only way to win against this infantry. Numbers. And there's a lot of them here. Look at that. We immediately get our artillery on top of this. Which does a really good job. Now BMPT's in the back, LSDR is still resupplying. We do have some FJBs here that are kind of stuck, but I'm moving them up in just a second. Really good artillery strikes. And also the ones from the enemy. Unfortunately, with this fresh double stack of US Marines with LVTPs, we kind of have to fall back and recuperate. Quite an intense fight. Let's see what our allies doing here. A big rifleman push. M1A2 Abrams as well. We don't exactly have good tanks to fight that off. But he is really doing his best here. Now, our ally did move quite a lot of Motostrelkis into this area. So he's trying to secure that left flank a bit more. Meanwhile on the right, I just fell back because that was a little bit too much for us to handle. And if I didn't fall back, the enemy would just keep rushing and wouldn't know what was left and what wasn't. So let's go back to the middle. We got our ally trying to get an idea of what the enemy has over there. The MP2 surviving for as long as it could, but it just could not deal with the M1A2. An attack shot coming in, once again for my mortars. Missing literally every shot. The entire game I kept these guys alive by just moving it around. So I think I pissed them off pretty good there. So at the moment we're +1. We control the 3 major sectors in the middle, plus our home sectors. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The enemy holds 4 sectors, worth 2, 4, 6 points. And we have sectors that are worth 2, 4, 7 points. Quick math. So at the moment we have LSDRs, we have FJBs, we have some more napalm units, and also some cheaper Machutsen. Because right now I'm kind of panicking, because we don't really have an awful lot on the right side. Luckily the LSDRs make short work of these units. The only thing that can really do damage here is if they use Navy SEALs and LVTPs. That would have been really painful. So on the left, not much is going on. Our ally decides to move up to kind of clear this out, which he will succeed at, luckily. And there's the LVTPs. FJBs quickly just smash that. But there's a wall of Marines and LVTPs that just suddenly showed up. The FJBs did not survive that at all. The LSTRs are tasked to engage the LVTP as fast as possible. Sturm Pioneers are just destroying the US Marines. I'm actually really impressed by these units. There we go, LVTP moving in. LSTRs spotting that, taking it out easily. So in the back we do have another Sturm Pioneer squad. This guy's badly hit, so we're moving him back. And we're moving this guy in instead. Sturm Pioneers moving in. Start deleting US Marines. Actually managed to panic the LVTP with this, which I was kind of surprised about. And there goes that US Marine. BMP2 making short work of these LVTPs. 27 US Marines once again showing up. Sturm Pioneers having no problem with that. I immediately unload these guys to help them out a little bit more. But it's never over, because I'm fighting two people, they just have endless waves of infantry coming up. At this point though, the enemy has neutralized the left sector. They've put a infantry command just at the tip of Gulf, and they definitely have the firepower there. We have no armor in the middle whatsoever. Our T-72s getting cheeky shots on these units here in the flank. Mortars raining down quickly to take out as much as possible. Before they reach our infantry, the enemy used a Fighting Falcon to destroy what was left here. But they decide to fall back for whatever reason. I am not quite sure. I think they expected me to have a lot of Sturm Pioneers again. So as you can see, my mortars have been evading quite a lot of artillery. Now on the left here, we just get overrun by Fallschirmjägers and SDRF 9040s. SDRV 103D comes in, and we just have base Machschützen. But that is not going to end well for us. Just another Zerg rush coming in here. Just riflemen and transports to take the shots, and then the tanks in the back to finish the enemy units. That is basically how you play in those open fields. So we do have some reinforcements. We've got some Machschützen, Sturm Pioneers, and LSTRs. Also some BMPs. Unfortunately, we get stunned by the grenade launcher. Now we move up the Machschützen, take out the LVTPs. One LSTR left over here. I just decide to fall back with it. It gets engaged by the LVTP and unfortunately takes it out. Don't ask what the Strela was doing. He was not really doing much. Look at that. It's even more. Now at this stage, I do have still quite a lot of infantry at the back. French captain is actually helping us out a little bit here. In the back here, mortars are just going to reposition. We have some more BMP2s moving up with infantry, while the Machschützen hold the front line. Now the SRV 103D, that's a painful one to fight against. We do have Machus and 90s. So against our infantry, it's not really a problem. But the painful thing is our range. We just don't have the range, so we have to move in really, really close. Now LSDRs are moving in, Machutsen are still holding. There's a bit of a fire issue over here though. And if we just go back into my point of view here, you can definitely tell that it looks quite bleak. Now I do have quite a lot of infantry that are still moving in. Also some tanks. And some BMP2s. These CSs are so good. 20 points for a Vulcan. Like, that is insane. They don't necessarily do damage, but they just panic everything they fire at. LSDRs encounter some riflemen. That's going to be quite an easy fight for them. Longbow in the middle is just going nuts on these units. Poor BMP. But we're not giving up just yet. We have some more infantry in the back to try to do as much damage here as possible. I'm just hoping that my allies somehow manage to take back Gulf. But if we just go into neutral mode, yeah, you can tell that that's not going to happen. Especially with the amount of units they have here. So Cluster does manage to hit the M1A2 quite a bit. Making him fall back, so that's already a win. So back to my point of view, I noticed some infantry moved across, so I immediately mortar it. And immediately also reposition. Which, in my case, was probably the best thing I could do with these guys. So Machutsen and LSDRs together with BMPs against Rifleman 90s. It's not even a problem, really. Now we bring some more Napalm infantry. We have some more Machutsen at the back. So we're really trying to just hold on to this forest for dear life. And if we just look into the neutral mode, we got Bloody Dude here, and we got the other guy just fighting over here. So Baron is taking the main fight against us, while Bloody took over the forest fight. And it was kind of the other way around most of the time, but maybe he just ran out of infantry. As you can see, the enemy spends a lot of resources trying to counter these mortars. But lucky for us, we're moving them. This poor Machutsen. Not going to have the best time there. I immediately get these mortars working on this as well. I think in just a second. Now, our allies did manage to kind of push back a little bit. But against 3 heavy tanks, there's just not much you can do. On the right side, we got some Cobras, taking out our Mi-24s without a problem. And now we have the biggest fight of all. This was kind of sick. We have Stern Pioneers, Machutsen, LSDRs, trying to do as much damage as possible. FLA's in the flank here, giving some fire support. Mortars coming down. Right on target. But due to the sheer amount of infantry, I decide to fall back just to let these guys get into the tree line. So the Sturm Pioneers are now at the front line, together with the LSDRs and the Machutsen and all these transports. These riflemen are not going to be an issue. Look at that. Everything is either stunned or panicked, and the enemy really does not like my mortars. They're just going after these guys. Luckily they're missing every shot though. FLA's here, just raining these 57mm at the enemy, almost running out of ammo. Somehow this M113 got behind enemy lines, but he gets deleted quite quickly. Now that is quite the concentration of infantry. You can already guess what I'm gonna do here. Now that is all they have in this forest, which really surprised me. So I think we somehow killed basically all of their infantry that they had. Now I do notice these 4 Cobras, so I immediately move up these FLAs, the 57mm units. Try to do as much damage as possible. Mortars are now in a new position, rearming. But now, the other guy... Wait, am I fighting 3 people right now? No, okay. The other guy, so Baron, decides to just charge up here while I'm busy in this forest, which is definitely the best thing you can do. Cobras, no match for the FJBs and all of our infantry. The FLA with his 1 HV, or 1 HE, tries to do some damage. Trying to get some revenge over there. And we absolutely cleaned that forest up. That was cool. Now, in terms of forest fights, we won, hands down. There's nothing he could bring in to really win that fight. Now, in terms of the open field, because of their superior firepower with the automatics, the STRVs, we are not really able to stop this push, mainly because it's also 2 people. We got Bing over here and Purple on the left, while we have 2 people pushing me on the right side. And still, we managed to lose the full center and left areas, unfortunately. So T-72 moves in, gets clapped by the Dragoneers. Now, from my point of view, I know that there's some infantry there, and I don't want to really fight against this tank at long range. I should say at short range. No, I don't want to fight him at long range, but I want to keep him close by so that I can utilize the increase in damage when you fire at a tank from close range. So I just kind of try to keep him over here for as long as possible. Now, there's absolutely nothing stopping the enemy from getting this command. But we're not giving up just yet. T-72, a final moment of glory. 2 of these guys, I decide to move them in because this tank is flanking, to try to stop these guys for as long as possible. I call in a MiG-23BN, which almost killed the tank, leaving 1 HP only on this guy. Now I wonder if I actually got it. I did not, no. That's a shame. T-72 M1 continuing the last stand here, getting hit by RPGs left and right, clapping infantry like it's no one else's business. Judd is a hero, dude. Judd does not give a damn. He's holding the line long enough for reinforcements to arrive, but it is too late. The enemy has +5 income right now. They're already halfway through the conquest points. Only 10 minutes left, and just a wave, the absolute wave of infantry and cannons rolling down the middle. It's kind of insane. Just look at this. All of the MiG-23 BNs coming in. Glorious cluster strike. N1A2 somehow is still alive. Don't ask me how. Weapon jammed on that T-72, and that is basically game over for that unit. Now LSTRs and FJBs are still holding in the back here. But there's just too much. Two people... I can only do that much. I held them back for a solid half hour or so. I should say 25 minutes. But unfortunately just ran out of points and high quality infantry. And it kind of went downhill from there. That was basically it. In just a moment we call it. We trade our GGs, we trade our WPs, our well plays, and we end it. We surrender that match. But that was one hell of a match. We did really good in that town here, or in that forest. We held them back for as long as possible. Our infantry did amazing. Just here out in the open, we just could not really deal with the enemy armor. Now in hindsight, I could have probably pushed up into a hotel, but I was expecting them to do some form of like DAP attack, so with helicopters, and we would have lost quite a lot of units. I was just making my plan around these little farms here. So if you hold this and get our infantry into the forest, we'll be okay. Which worked for most of the time, but just because there were two people there, we couldn't really do much. Now, if you enjoyed that, please do let me know. We're going to just quickly go over to the deck that I used in this fight. So if we go into... Yep, that's the one here. So East German Mechanized. This is the one I used. I just made one change, putting Sturm Pioneers also in BMPs, just so that I have two variants. But really, really fun deck to play with. And I also put some lasers in here to deal with enemy helicopters. So, if you enjoyed, please do let me know, guys, and I'll see you guys back in the next one. Take care.